Congressman. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Hey, I want to ask you about the Proven Forest Management Act, which is passed out of the National Resources Committee. Can you explain to us what this is and what it does?
Yeah, it simply cuts a lot of the red tape that's prevented us from properly managing our forests. It provides a categorical exclusion from the National Environmental Policy Act for forest thinning projects up to 10,000 acres. It's been in effect for the Tahoe Basin since I got it into the WIN Act back in 2016. It has tripled the amount of acreage treated in the Tahoe Basin and actually saved the town of South Lake Tahoe from the Caldor fire. It hit one of the treated tracks. It lay down on its way to South Lake Tahoe, and firefighters were able to extinguish it. Unfortunately, it only applies to the Tahoe Basin. The Proven Forest Management Act applies it to all of our federal lands and will allow us to actually get back into the business of properly managing our forests.
And when somebody's listening, they go, well, what do you mean managing? Can't they just grow? But the trees have to be thinned to help prevent wildfire. Is that correct?
Exactly. I mean, all of that excess timber comes out of the forest in only two ways. Either we carry it out or nature will burn it out. For the most of the 20th century, the Forest Service sent foresters out into the forest every year. They'd mark off excess timber. We would auction that timber off to logging companies that would then pay us to remove it. A quarter of those revenues went directly to the local governments that were affected by the federal lands. The other three-fourths went to the Forest Service to reinvest in our forests. NEPA and other acts adopted in the 1970s have made that process endlessly time-consuming and ultimately cost-prohibitive. Now it takes 4.5 years on average just to do the environmental studies. It costs millions of dollars, which it destroys the value of the timber. So now it costs us money and enormous amounts of time just to do a simple forest thinning project. The Proven Forest Management Act will reduce that to that 4.5 years to about 4 months. And will reduce the cost of the environmental studies dramatically.
I also want to ask you about, you co-sponsored the American Confidence in the Elections Act. What will this measure do?
Well, there are a number of measures in the Congress right now that are aiming at election security. And I am trying to sponsor as many of them as possible.
And you're also the chairman of the subcommittee on immigration, integrity, security, and enforcement. And as such, I'm wondering, what are you seeing as the biggest issue that we're facing when it comes to our border?
Well, the fact that our laws are not being enforced, and that's been true since this administration took office. When Trump left office, the borders were secure. Illegal immigration had been reduced to a trickle. The border wall was nearing completion, and court-ordered deportations were being enforced. Once this administration took over, they canceled all of those policies, and the result is the largest illegal mass migration in our country's history. This administration has deliberately allowed into the country 2.1 million illegal immigrants who have no legal right to be here. That is a population larger than the size of Nebraska. And while the Border Patrol has been completely overwhelmed taking names and changing diapers on the border, another 1.5 million known gotaways have evaded the Border Patrol and also entered our country. That is an additional illegal population larger than the state of Hawaii. And that's just in the last 2.5 years. The impact this has, you explain to me how we improve our schools by packing classrooms with non-English speaking students. How do we improve hospital access by packing emergency rooms with illegals demanding uncompensated care? Explain to me how we make our communities safer by making it all but impossible to remove criminal illegal aliens and introducing cartels and cartel-related gangs into our communities. I mean, I could go on and on. This is a travesty. H.R. 2, which is what we developed through the Immigration Subcommittee that I chair, restores those Trump-era policies that would finally, again, secure our borders and stop this mass migration on a scale larger than any civilization has ever survived.
All right, Congressman Tom McClintock, thank you so much.